Hi, I'm Liz Weaver here today with Lisa Harp. Lisa has pioneered neurosensory training. She's worked for years very successfully with a number of children that have a variety of learning differences, and we're going to talk to her about some of those learning differences and a number of other issues today. How are you today, Lisa?
Good. How are you, Liz?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Let's get right to the thick of it. If I am a parent and I've got a child with a learning disability, where do I start? Do I choose public school or private school?
Well, that's a decision you have to make according to how your child is performing. Most kids are in the public school system, and it's a very treacherous road you would have to take getting help for your child. Usually the child is tested for special education.
Okay.
And at that point, a team of people will come together and make a plan that's individual for your child, and it's aimed for your child's success. But often what happens is this team of people will tell you what your child is not able to do, not what the child can do. And the other thing is this team of people really doesn't aim at fixing the problem. Mostly it's made to let the child be comfortable.
Okay.
The child is not exposed to grade level skills. The child is pulled out of his regular classroom, goes to a special room. There's labeling involved.
Okay.
Other kids know that this child left and goes to special education. So there's a lot of things that come into play. The sad thing that happens is these kids aren't exposed to grade level material year after year. They get a watered down curriculum. They get accommodations and modifications to make them comfortable. But eventually, by high school, they have to pass an exit exam. And whether they have an IEP or not, they still have to pass that test to get a diploma. So it's really a sad thing that happens, and we so often do these kids a disservice when there is help available for them.
So it sounds like if my child is already in public school and gets diagnosed, that the school system itself is kind of locked into its own plan that it has to follow for every child regardless of my child's needs.
Right, and it is backed by law. So there are a lot of components that come into place, and I always want parents to know that they can refuse those special education services.
That's good to know.
A lot of times people think because the principal and the teacher want to put their child in special education that they have to, and they do not. Parents can deny those services. It's their right.
That's good information. Now, can learning disabilities, learning differences be fixed?
Yes, they can be fixed, but not in the traditional manner that people are used to seeing. So you can take the brain and you can retrain it. The brain has plasticity. We know this. Current brain research indicates that new neural pathways can be formed. And there are ways to do this. The schools are not going to do this right now. They're not equipped to do it. The schools are equipped to make your child comfortable.
Take them out of the stressful environment, put them in with other kids that are like them. And teach them the lowest level that they can accommodate.
So for instance, if a student is struggling to read, what you need to do is take the whole picture, which is the reading, break down the components, and retrain the brain to do the littler components. And eventually the brain is able to read.
So it is not traditional tutoring. So if my child has a learning disability and I can see that in the area of reading, am I doing any good by getting a reading tutor after school?
Well, it does some good in that it's more practice, but if you want a tutor, you're probably going to have to sign on for a tutor for life,
because they're not fixing the problem.
Exactly. So you can't fix poor academics with more academics. It just doesn't work that way. But if you go and diagnose where the weakness is, perhaps it's in the visual system or auditory, then go and strengthen that system, then the academics come into play later.
Can you tell me more about neurosensory training?
This is a system that uses the brain and the senses to help students overcome learning problems. So what we do is we start with a brain retraining, and we use physical exercises that cross the vertical midline of the body, which coordinate the left and right hemispheres of the brain. And we also use eye placement. Research has indicated that if you look in a certain direction, it will access a certain point in your brain. For instance, if you look up and to the left, that's your visual memory center. So by having students perform physical exercises while looking in a certain direction, we build new neural passages in the brain. And that alone helps, but we also need to take into consideration how kids learn. They learn through their auditory system, their visual system, and kinesthetically. So if you strengthen all of those systems as well, along with the brain retraining, then the student is able to learn and overcome these differences.
That's exciting. The kids with learning differences, what are their gifts in other areas?
Well, these children are smart. The sad thing that happens is perhaps they didn't score well on a test, but they may be verbal, highly verbal, intelligent children. So usually they're right brain dominant, which is the creative, intuitive, rhythm, color, pictures. And in the left brain dominant school system, they're dying a slow death every day. And they're being made to feel dumb when indeed they're not. These kids are often highly perceptive, intuitive, social, friendly, but they don't get diagnosed, or they don't receive credit for this because of their diagnosis.
Okay. And how prevalent are learning differences in today's society?
It's epidemic. 1 in 5 of our children has dyslexia, 1 in 150 has autism, and millions are diagnosed with ADD, ADHD.
Wow, those are high numbers.
They are.
Those are very high numbers. Great, thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
So if your child has a learning difficulty, and it can fall into any area, ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, anything in the autism spectrum, then these are some of the things that we need to look at and address, and Lisa is here to help you do that. The school system may not have your child's best interest in mind, but with this free information, you can look out for your child's best interest. We will also offer a series of free videos that will address a variety of learning differences, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video series. Thank you. Thank you for watching our video today. To get our complete video series, including information on dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, ADD, ADHD, a variety of other learning problems, and the therapies that can help children with these problems. There is also information on how to get the best education for your child, whether it is public, private, or homeschool. To get the complete video series, go to www.braintrainingsystem.com.